The Book of Boba Fett has mentioned multiple times now that Tatooine used to be covered in oceans. Once is an Easter egg. More than once, that's deliberate. So what's going on with the oceans of Tatooine, and will they play a larger role in the series? The idea that there used to be water on the planet isn't brand new. In Legends, the Dawn of the Jedi comics briefly visited Tatooine to show us that, yes, it was a vibrant planet covered in water and plant life, but it was attacked by the Rakatan Empire, who bombarded it from orbit until the soil turned to sand and the seas boiled away. That's probably not going to remain consistent in canon, but since we don't currently know what happened, at least we have some potential history. The Tusken chief tells Boba Fett that they have remained hidden ever since the oceans dried. The watermonger also says that Tatooine was once completely covered in water. I don't know that we should take that literally to mean that the planet didn't have any land masses at all, but I don't think that's important. All that really matters is that Tatooine used to have oceans, and now it doesn't. In that scene, Boba Fett reminds us, for seemingly no real reason, that he grew up surrounded by water, and we keep seeing flashes of his homeworld, Kamino, in his visions. Raging seas and storms, the complete opposite of Tatooine. So what does this mean? Why are we being reminded that Tatooine was once similar to Kamino? Well, for one, I think it means Boba Fett is, quite literally, out of his element. He comes from water, now he's surrounded by earth or sand. That mirrors his current efforts to change. He was raised to be a bounty hunter, and he has been for most of his life. But now he's attempting to become a crime lord, to rise above his station and reinvent himself into something greater. The transition hasn't been easy so far. He's been disrespected by the mayor, the Hutts, and now this watermonger. There have been straight-up assassination attempts. The contrast between Kamino and Tatooine is a reminder of Boba Fett's struggle to adapt to a much harsher environment. We've seen that he needs to heal himself from injuries he has sustained on this very planet. The Sarlacc left him scarred, and the Bacta is healing him. Bacta and water are two different substances, I know, but they're still liquids, and the Bacta pod is supposed to be a safe space for Boba, a place where he is once again surrounded by water to heal him from the physical trauma Tatooine inflicted on him. Sand represents danger, water represents safety. But it's not such a safe space anymore, at least as of Chapter 3. We see him ripped out of the pod and his visions of the past by Black Krrsantan. I mentioned last week that it seems like Boba Fett is regressing in the present-day part of the series. He was taught to survive in the desert by the Tusken Raiders. He was taught their ways, and he embraced them, becoming a welcome member of their tribe, gaffy stick and everything. But we're seeing the events that lead to him finally take back up his old armor, a symbol of his past. He sets aside the gaffy stick and the Tusken robes that represented his time in the desert in favor of armor that is more connected with his father and Kamino. He is approaching his reign as a crime lord the same way so many others have, as an outsider. The Hutts, Bib Fortuna, the Pikes, Boba Fett. As Drash points out in Chapter 3, he's just another crime lord, there to rule over a planet he doesn't understand. But he knows Tatooine far better than he's letting on. I loved that in his fight with Krrsantan, he reaches for his Mandalorian weapons, and he can't get to them. Instead, he picks up the gaffy stick again, and that's what saves him from the massive Wookiee, who is another symbol of his past, by the way, a badass bounty hunter working for the Hutts. And Boba fights him off with a gaffy stick, a symbol of the new life he chose for a time. Even though they capture Krrsantan, he is allowed to live and he runs off, because Star Wars is not about killing your past, it's about acknowledging and accepting your past so you can move forward and make some personal progress. So what does all that have to do with water on Tatooine? I think we could see some of it return in this series. The planet won't be covered in oceans again, we know that because we see it in The Rise of Skywalker, but as Boba Fett learns to accept the events of his past, like the death of his father on another desert planet, and his near-death on a desert planet, he might be able to truly heal himself and move forward, and part of that victory could be represented in bringing at least some healing water back to Tatooine to make life just a little bit easier. Where might that water come from? Maybe Garsa Fwip. Her sanctuary has plants in it. That could easily be a status symbol of wealth and nothing more. Water doesn't come cheap on Tatooine, and she has enough to keep her plants alive. Or maybe the sanctuary is built on a water source that Garsa is hoarding for her own gain rather than sharing it with the people who need it. That's just a guess. I mean, it's all just a guess. Maybe all the mentions of the oceans of Tatooine are simply fun little nods to legends. We'll have to wait and see. But what do you think? Will water return to the desert, or am I off the mark? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with all our Book of Boba Fett coverage, and consider checking out our Patreon page for even more. We're releasing video reactions and audio commentaries for every episode as they release. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.